Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Lauren. I am Ed from Higher Space. Delighted to be here, and thank you all very much for joining. Now, we know that it is more important than ever for venues to be able to demonstrate their commitment to sustainability, and perhaps we have a great new way of doing this. So I have three fantastic panelists this morning. They're going to tell us all about Green Mark accreditation. And first up, I am just going to ask all of the panelists to briefly introduce themselves and what they do. So I'll start with you, Serene.
Sure. So I'm Serene. I'm Director of Operations at Tobacco Dock. I oversee all the operations within the venue. So obviously the event side and equally our co-working space there. Was a big team before COVID. We'll grow back up to it and looking forward to getting back in the office.
Brilliant. Thank you, Serene. And Alex.
I'm Alex. I'm the Director of Tobacco Dock Food. So we work with Serene and the team at Tobacco Dock in-house catering requirements, anything from intimate dinner for 10 up to a crazy conference for a couple of thousand people, which are things that we look forward to getting back to doing.
And last but not least, Toby.
Hello, I'm Toby Merridan. I'm the Business Development Manager at Carbon Architecture, the company behind the Green Mark accreditation. My background is energy controls, process and food and beverage.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. So Toby, I'm going to come straight back to you. Many of the audience will know all about Green Mark, but for those who don't, can you briefly tell us, what is Green Mark and tell us a little bit about the process of becoming accredited?
Yes, Green Mark is something that we developed with help from the European Social Fund to enable companies to become sustainability accredited without the big overhead of some of the larger ISOs, like ISO 14001 type systems, which can be expensive, time consuming, and people just don't have the bandwidth to carry out. So it's recognised and it's across the whole board of all sorts of industries, big and small. We have designed it to be sort of suitable for the smaller user as well as corporate identities, but obviously the larger ones are more likely to have the larger accreditations. So do you want me to go on to how you become green marked?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the process for a venue watching this. How do they go about it?
Yeah, so we've tried to make it as simple as possible. So website, there's various landing places. Ed has one designed for today, and it literally is simply a sign up. You pay your money, and that is very simply done on the size of the business in quite round terms, but it is catered for the smaller user actually, so that it's not too expensive, and everyone gets the same attention. It's questionnaire based, so the initial thing that happens is you get acknowledgement from Carbon Architecture, who are behind Green Mark, from a qualified energy sustainability engineer. And these engineers are engaged on large sustainable projects for usually sort of food and beverage, NHS, industry, commercial. So these guys do some big pieces of work. So they will always be behind the Green Mark application, whoever it is, whether it's a small shop or whether it's a large factory or group of factories even. So the first thing you would get is your acknowledgement. Then you'll get to actually speak to your operator, if you like, and then it's a question of system of questionnaires, and that is to gauge the level that you're at in your sustainable journey, because this is a journey. There's not a right and a wrong. Nobody passes or fails. So it's for the Green Mark team to discover where you are on your journey from this set of questionnaires, and then the Green Mark team to set a system or a roadmap for your company to be accredited at the level that is suitable for you. And then all through the year that you've joined up, initially for a year, your roadmap is monitored. You will have various, how can I put it, opportunities that would have been identified, and we'll be monitoring and reviewing how you're doing with that, and obviously inputting as much help as we can along the way. So it's sort of it's a touchy, but not too touchy. So we're there as much as you need us, and we're only ever an email or a phone call away.
Fantastic, thank you, Toby. I must say that the simplicity of Green Mark is something we really notice. It's a massive benefit. Serene,
Yeah.
I'm going to jump to you. You're a sustainability champion both at Tobacco Dock and more widely in the industry. Tell us why you went with Green Mark, and then perhaps you can tell us a little bit about how you found the process that Toby has just described.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, when we were looking out for, how could we get accredited? And as Toby said, going for the big ISOs just wasn't feasible for us. So it was really important for us to try and find something that would be a good fit. And coming across Green Mark, we're actually introduced by a colleague, and they explained about Green Mark, said they were super helpful. I picked up the phone, had a great chat to one of the team. And they said, it's a simple process, sign up and we'll guide you through. That I did. And as Toby said, you fill out a questionnaire, sort of went through the questionnaire. You can see all of the questionnaire before you complete it, which is great. It enables you to go away, collect the information that you need, have a think about how this process is going to unravel. And then they're there for support, which was really key for me. It was a new venture for us. What was really interesting, though, was that we actually realised we had a lot of the protocols already in place. We just hadn't assigned it to the policy, to our sustainability policy. But it was really key for us to put some goals in place and have some objectives rather than just a sustainability policy, which, the majority of companies do have because it's a requirement, but actually more about what are the goals, what's the meaning behind it, what are the reasons behind it, and how do we educate the team.
Great. And Alex, I mean, I know you're focused on lots of things, but also the kind of food side. What were some of the things that you noticed when you got that kind of first list through from Green Mark? What were some of the kind of the key things for you to focus on, or some of the early challenges?
So lots of the catering industry, we do create lots of waste, food waste, the things that you present your food in. So already we're being challenged by clients, by the venue, by ourselves. But then working with Green Mark, it's kind of fine tuning that process to make sure that what you're doing is actually true to the process and true to what you're saying. So you're practicing what you're preaching. And for us, we can make quite a few small tweaks. So getting rid of as much single-use plastic as we can, and just taking a bit more time to look at why and how we're doing things, which is really important when you are potentially feeding thousands of people a day.
Were there any kind of big key changes that you had to make early on?
So we got rid of plastic water bottles. The nature of them is you pick one up because they're there and they're available and they're free. And actually you only take a couple of sips and then before you know it, it's in the bin. So we can't use big fresh fruit water kilners. We actually now use canned water or glass bottles for speakers water because it's a bit nicer to look at. We've removed plastic straws entirely, so we do go to paper if straws are required. We've removed Christmas crackers from our Christmas parties. They're now an optional thing. So all of these, what for us and for people might deem as small steps, actually, when you look at the mass numbers, not just for Tobacco Dock, but across the industry as a whole, you're actually saving a lot of stuff going to landfill, which is a nice feeling.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, we know from HireSpace that venues are really thinking about sustainability way more than they ever were. Certainly when HireSpace started. Serene, when you looked at that first list from Green Mark, how much of that was stuff you were kind of already way on top of, and how much was stuff that made you think, oh, that's a great thing we should be thinking about, and that's something for us to focus on now?
Yeah, that's, it's really interesting, actually. I would probably say it was about 50-50. And the reason for that, a lot of the things that you're asked to do is record data so that you can set those goals. So, recording your electricity, obviously, we all get our electricity bills through and therefore we have that. But we weren't sort of really homing in on how do we reduce that and how do we go about reducing it. So some of the projects that we had in play, like installing LED lighting, for example, or light motion sensors, they were projects that we had in play because it's about improving our venue full stop. But actually that is, completely associated to Green Mark and sustainability on a whole. So it's, it's a really interesting journey, and I think it will be different for each person and the type of company that you are. But because Green Mark isn't just focused on events, it's focused on every industry. That enables you to really focus in on what's relevant for you. And some areas, as Toby said, maybe we won't achieve this year, but we'll really focus on for the years coming. So it's a flexibility which is great.
Okay, brilliant. Toby, I promise you I am going to come back to you, but we've got a question from Gemma in the audience, and I think this is a good one for Serene and Alex. So Gemma has asked whether Green Mark is the only accreditation she should look for, or are they others? So I wonder, Alex and or Serene, perhaps you can talk a little bit about the process of choosing an accreditation and what other stuff you look like, and I guess why you why you went with Green Mark in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll kick off and then hand over to Alex. No doubt we'll have slightly different perspectives, but certainly from our view, budget was one of them. It was really important to find an accreditation that meant something, but actually that is affordable for us and it's sustainable for us as a company. So moving forward, is it something that we're going to continue to climb up that ladder and being able to commit to? Resource was another one, making sure that we had the right resource in play, and albeit we did grow a green team within our own team, so a number of the people that are very interested in sustainability joined that team, and then equally as the process went on, we noticed that people became more interested, and therefore we formed that green team. So resource was really key. So budget, resource, and then actually working with Green Team, picking up the phone. I had a conversation with one of the chaps, and he was really, really clear about the process and actually why Green Mark would be suitable for us. We did look at another one, green tourism, which is obviously widely popular within the events industry, but at the time they were very focused on hospitality and hotels as opposed to venues. And of course we're a venue and we host events. We don't run them as a whole. We obviously run a number of smaller conferences, but I felt that it was a lot more pigeonholed. So that's why it was Green Mark was the one for us. And of course ISO was just not in our reach, unfortunately.
Alex, anything you'd want to add to that?
So for us, I mean, with the venue taking kind of the lead and going with Green Mark, obviously it made sense for us to kind of pursue the same channels, not only for consistency, but also a lot of our policies do feed into each other. And really, the venue do rely on their suppliers to be able to back them up in their processes and stuff. So for us, that consistency did make a whole lot of sense, so that we could bang the same drum and say we had the same accreditation.
Sorry.
So, after you.
I was just going to say on that side, what I didn't say was a big focus on supply chain management and actually the big education piece on how do we set that up. And it's another thing that no doubt Toby will elaborate on, but Green Mark can absolutely support on that supply chain management and the education of your suppliers. So you can take it to whichever level you want. So you can make it, it's a must. You have to be Green Mark to be able to work with us. Or, here's the information. It'd be great if we could understand a little bit more about how you work. So that was also one of the key parts to why we chose Green Mark over other accreditations.
I often find that companies are really surprised how much they're already doing, and really just need setting out and organising in a way that can be developed further. Companies are generally, they do want to be green.
Yeah.
It's so interesting what you were saying, Serene, about how more of the wider team began to get involved when you started the process, because I think, with sustainability, you need the whole organisation speaking as one, and that's so important to communicating the messages effectively to your clients and everyone else. So really interesting that happened.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had workshops in place to kind of educate the team, and we actually used our software system to be able to share ideas and best practices amongst our partners, suppliers and internal teams. So it was amazing how all of a sudden that got, there's an influx of hundreds of different initiatives, which was great.
So we've got the results of our poll, some early results back. So would you consider, this is from the audience watching today, would you consider being formally accredited for your sustainability initiatives? So we have 0% saying no, good news. We have 33% saying maybe, 0% saying already accredited, which is interesting, and 67% saying yes, they would. So that's great. I want to jump a little bit into the kind of ongoing process stuff and what you guys are looking at. Toby, just before I do that, are there any kind of key, you understand this landscape incredibly well, any key kind of benefits to Greenmark that we haven't touched upon yet so far today?
Well, you've touched on the supply chain, and that's very important. And what we find at Carbon Architecture in our work, that it does help us with tender work. Now, I'm not aware whether you do any tender work, but certainly it definitely ticks the right boxes and enables those extra points. You know, that's what you need to win any tenders, and for us, that's really important.
Yeah, completely agree. We know through our HireSpace professional product, which is our corporate account management product for events organizers, that the speed at which corporates are seriously turning to sustainable suppliers, it's in the last kind of, I think, 18 months particularly, is really like the rocket boosters have been on. So I think that's exactly right. Tobacco Dock guys, I'm going to ask you a little bit about what are the ongoing things to consider. So you kick off with Greenmark. What are the ongoing things to consider, whether it's training or processes?
Yeah, absolutely. So I touched upon the communication piece. I think that's really key. It does take time. You need to commit to it, and that's part and parcel of going on this journey. The communication is really key, because actually, it's, as I said before, it's sharing that information. So rather than Alex and her team coming up with initiative separately and working off in silo, we work together, and actually that saves a lot of time within the company, and actually just make sure that supply chain is really connected. So that's really important. Training is really important. I think making sure that your team are educated, and that is an ongoing process. So we have some training booked in for next year now. Obviously it got delayed a little bit, so that's the Event Managers Association, and that's just telling you a little bit, the Energy Managers Association, not the event, telling you a little bit more about how it all works. And I think that's a really key part, the education. And we'll continue to do internal and external training as our journey continues.
We've got another poll result. How much, so let's imagine it's from the booker side of people watching, how much of an influence would recognised sustainable venues and suppliers have on your decision to book? So we have 0% saying no influence at all, 0% saying not much of an influence, 50% say somewhat of an influence, and 50% say a big influence. That's brilliant to see. Alex, from your point of view, in terms of how you kind of the journey of Greenmark, are you finding that the organisation is just more kind of embedded in everything you do now, the sustainability best practice, and how do you maintain that?
Yeah, I mean, as individuals, lots of us are making our own changes in our kind of personal life and in our homes. So the people that have an interest kind of naturally get themselves involved in the conversations at work on a professional basis. And we all feel a little bit more accountable for CSR in general. And we bring that into catering, and it's just about, everything that Serene said, echoing all of those comments, but then it's also about always looking, why am I serving food in that or on that? Why are we doing that? Why are we buying from these people? Because actually the poll is quite interesting, because lots of people are interested in it, and it is becoming more of an influencing factor in why people and clients are booking places. We get asked all the time about our policies, and it's so refreshing to be able to come back and say, well, here's all these things that we're already doing, and actually if you want to take it one step further, then here's another list of options that you can then take on board. So for us, it's always thinking why, questioning ourselves, and bringing kind of everything that we're passionate about to the forefront, aside from just the catering.
Absolutely. I mean, we were working on a big piece, weren't we, Alex, in regards to how to support clients. So we're all on different level in terms of our knowledge, and we were looking at how we could have options for clients when they come into the venue. They can have an option to, almost upgrade on how sustainable their event can be, and have that work all figured out for them. That's really part of our focus, to make sure that it's, the hard work's kind of done, if you like. We've done all the thinking. We've priced that up so that clients can come in and really understand, does it suit their event? Is it sustainable for them and their business? Which is quite exciting. I think we've been certainly looking forward to getting back and being able to put that into practice.
Toby, over to you on the kind of process stuff. Tell us a little bit about what role Greenmark as an organisation plays in that kind of ongoing relationship with a venue once it becomes Greenmark accredited.
Yes, I mean, I think the whole point of Greenmark is that it is a social accreditation. It's designed to be seen, hence the marketing, hence the sort of marketing pack you get when you join. It's designed to be visible, and in this case, in a venue. Whereas, you know, the large ISO sustainability platforms, they're really designed for corporate governance. Greenmark has been designed for the everyday person and the everyday business, and you can see it. So as the public walk in, they see a Greenmark sticker. They might not know what it is, but they can look it up very quickly and know exactly what it's all about. And that's how we wanted to design it, because, you know, companies, they will do what they have to do, and if they have to go for ISO 14001, they'll spend that money. But I think, you know, it's good to see out there people seeing small businesses, medium-sized businesses being sustainable.
We've got a thanks Toby. We've got a great question from the audience. It's from Michelle.
Yep.
Speaking about the poll results that we just announced, that the result doesn't play out with my experience of events organisers inquiring about our venue, which suggests that all of us here are already thinking about sustainability. But how do we speak to those who still don't think it's that important?
Really good question. I think, again, that comes down to when inquiries coming in, rather than certainly from a venue perspective, rather than clients leading, is for venues to lead and to talk about the options that we have, and actually how other events operate within the venue or within the industry. And again, it's that best practice sharing. You know, if you read about something, share it, you know, rework it, and talk about it. And I think that's how we can educate people and let them understand. And actually, stats really help. I know Alex had some great ones, you know, plastic bottles equating to X amount of, you know, cups of tea being boiled or whatever it is. I think that really helps people who maybe are not so educated in sustainability, or don't really think about it, to really make it a little bit more relevant to them. I'm sure Alex will have some other angles on it.
Yeah, I mean, echo what Serene says again. But yeah, I mean, stats do kind of speak for themselves. And I often think if you drop in nuggets of information or stats to a client, then actually they don't realise, but down the line, they will use that when they get asked by someone, a delegate, or, you know, what's the CSR policy here? They'll start to be like, oh, okay, that does actually make sense to know these kind of things. So yeah, sometimes it's subtly dropping them in.
Toby, anything you'd say on that?
Yeah, I mean, the same. I mean, really, I mean, the way that I like to see is that carbon architecture through Greenmark, we're not really visible as carbon architecture, but behind us, we've got an awful lot of experience and a lot of benchmark information on all different types of businesses, and venues is one of them. So, you know, we will be able to put in place opportunities, real opportunities that will actually make you more sustainable and save you money.
Brilliant. Well, I think, yeah, coming out of this horrendous 3 months that we've all had, you know, now is the time for us to reshape this industry and this sector in a positive way. So I think there's absolutely no better time to be doing this and talking about it. We have a huge opportunity. Final question we've got, which I'll throw to you, Toby. Is there a list somewhere of Greenmark accredited venues?
There is a list of accredited venues on the Greenmark website, but if you want a specific list, I'm sure we can provide that after this event.
Yeah, and I would add that we will be displaying all Greenmark accredited venues prominently on the HireSpace website, and allowing people to search by it, because we think it's so important that we're all shouting about it, everyone involved in this industry. So that will appear soon on the HireSpace website. Guys, we are out of time. Thank you so much all for your thoughts today. Been really interesting. Everyone watching, if you look in the solutions bit of Swap Card, you can see information about becoming Greenmark accredited, and you can apply to get in touch with Greenmark through the form that's on the solutions bit of this site. So thank you everyone for your time. Everyone else, I know we've got another brilliant session coming up this morning, so I hope you all enjoy that, and see you all soon.
Thanks, Ed.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.